It's not surprising to find something left behind in a previously owned home. Whether it's stuff left behind or maybe some old, antiquated things. In Jericho, New York, a family would find something even more bizarre. The Tafagatis, a family moving into the home of a previously owned home by the Cohens, had discovered a barrel in a crawl space underneath the stairs. This did surprise the Cohens because they have never seen the barrel before. The Tafagatis insisted that the barrel be removed from the property prior to them moving in. As move-in day drew closer, the Cohens decided to throw it out with the trash. The next day, trash collectors refused to remove the barrel due to the unknown contents inside. The Cohens then decided to open up the old barrel. They got a crowbar and popped the lid off, only to open up a decades-old murder case. The homeowner opened the lid to find a hand and a shoe right on top of the open barrel. The police then took the barrel and began emptying the contents to find a whole mummified body of a young woman inside. It was in a fetal position. They also found a purse, a necklace, a plastic leaf, and plastic pellets that the body was covered in. The contents of the barrel were a confusing mix. The body was taken to the medical examiner's office, and the detectives began working to investigate the contents. The detectives started off by asking previous homeowners, seeing if they knew anything about the barrel, but the home only had 5 previous owners. They decided to look at the barrel specifically, and they found some interesting clues from it. The barrel was manufactured back in the late 1960s, and they had been given to certain companies. While detectives were looking at the more attainable aspects, forensic scientists were trying to look through the contents of the purse, which included an old address book. The unfortunate part was that they couldn't really see what was in it, because it had been soaked in the murky brown liquid that the body had been in for decades. They instead had to use cutting-edge technology of 1999 to try and reproduce the writing from the pages of that book. The medical examiner found the cause of death to be blunt force trauma to the head, and found one other surprise: a 9-month-old baby that was still inside the woman's stomach. This only led to more questions because they didn't really know who the woman was, but they figured that she wasn't from this country due to the dental work she had done on her teeth. They also noted that she was about 5 feet tall and was either white or Hispanic. Billy Jensen got a call about the story and looking to get more work in the paper business, as well as being able to get more money for diapers. He decided to get the contract work for the New York Times. He spent the first few hours talking to neighbors and police about their findings to get the story, and while he was only getting the general information, he knew a way he could find out a little more. The police told him about the barrel and the contents inside, so he decided to investigate the previous owners himself, and made a few phone calls to find out if they knew about the barrel. After a time, he came to the last name on the small list. The name was Howard Elkins, who had first owned the home as a brand new buyer, and had lived there for 17 years. Billy writes in his book, Chase Darkness with Me, about his interaction with Howard.
"Hello," I said. "Can I speak to Mr. Howard Elkins?" "Speaking." "This is Bill Jensen from the New York Times." "Yes?" "Hi. The reason I'm calling is someone just purchased your old house in Syosset on Long Island." "Yes." "And while they were cleaning it out, they found a barrel. And they opened it, and inside they found a body." "You're kidding," he said, drawing out the last word. "Kidding." "Do any of those details mean anything to you?" I asked. "No," he said. "Unbelievable," he added. He stretched out the middle of the word. "Unbelievable." "When was this?" he asked. "When did this happen?" "Yesterday," I said. "Unbelievable," he repeated. "Do you have any idea how that might have gotten there?" I asked. "No," he said. "Did you ever go into the crawl space?" I asked. "What for?" he said.
Forensic scientists ultimately discovered that the address book had carried names that the woman must have known. They did, however, find one woman by the name of Kathy Andrade, who still lived in the same apartment 30 years later and had the same phone number. When they asked her if she might have known who the woman was, she immediately knew that it was Reina Marroquin. Reina was an immigrant from El Salvador and came to the United States in 1966, went to a fashion school, and got a job working at the Melrose Plastics factory. Kathy said that Reina was a friendly person, that she loved her family and dreamed of becoming an American citizen. There was one more name that was also in the address book, a Mr. Elkins with the same address as the home that was being investigated. The investigators decided to take a trip to Florida, where Howard Elkins had moved to. They had gone up to speak with him and asked a few questions, but they noticed that he would answer no to almost every question about the barrel, or his past work at the Melrose Plastics Company, that he co-owns. When asked if he had had an affair, he did respond that he did, but gave very few details, and insisted that he had forgotten about who the woman was. They knew Howard was lying. When asked to get some DNA so they could test it, he wouldn't allow them to, but a detective would leave him with a stern message.
I said that there was not a doubt in our mind that he was involved in this. And I stood up and I stood right in front of him and I said, "We're going to leave now, Mr. Elkins. But I'm going to get a court order. I'm going to come back with that court order. And I'm going to take your blood. And I'm going to match your blood up to the dead baby and that dead girl. And I'm going to come back here and arrest you for murder and put you in jail for the rest of your life." He nodded his head and he opened the door and asked us to leave.
Howard heard that message clear. He would go out and buy a shotgun, as well as some ammo. One day while watching his neighbor's home, he went into the garage and entered their truck, put the gun in between its legs, and fired. No note, just a bloody mess. The investigators then took his blood sample, and what they could with the child's sample. It was proved that Elkins was a 99.4% match. Kathy stated that Reina had called Howard's wife to let her know that she was pregnant, and that he called back to say that he was going to kill her. Reina was scared and believed that he would actually do it. Kathy, however, did not know the identity of the man, and so when she did go missing, she couldn't really give much to the police, and they brushed it off as if Reina just went to the store. Detectives believe that Howard persuaded Reina to come to work, where he bashed her in the head and then put her body in the barrel. After that, he filled the barrel with plastic pellets and put the rest of her stuff in it as well, and closed the lid. It is believed that he might have tried to throw the barrel into the ocean using his boat, but because the barrel was so heavy, he decided against it and hid it in a crawl space where it stayed for 3 decades.
He watched TV, read the paper, drank his coffee. He celebrated holidays and birthdays, all above the corpse of the woman he had an affair with, got pregnant, and murdered.
Oscar Coral, who wrote the Newsday articles about the investigation, did make his way down to San Martin, where he found her 95-year-old mother and gave her the sad news about her daughter. She said that she has dreams about her daughter being in a barrel, which haunted her. The sisters then flew to New York, where they retrieved the body. The sisters also said that the mother was crying and hoping to get her back home before she died. The Hempstead Funeral Home covered the transportation and burial cost. On a final note, Reina had left El Salvador after learning that her husband left her for another lover who was pregnant. Reina would be met with the same unfortunate fate, except she was killed to keep it a secret. Howard didn't have to confess to a thing, and the evidence spoke for itself. One last note that investigators had also discovered was written by Reina herself that said, "Don't be mad. I told the truth." Thank you for watching. Please, like and subscribe to Silva's True Crime Stories. Thank you for watching.